Hello and welcome to Hysteria. I'm Erin Ryan.
And I'm Alyssa Mastromonaco.
Alyssa, I have a really important question, perhaps a vital question.
Erin, your questions are always vital and important.
Thank you so much. But how did people drive before we had backup cameras? Like, I know that I did.
I did for a while.
But how?
And it took me a long time to actually get used. This is the first car. My Subaru was the first car I've ever had with a backup camera. And I only got it 3 years ago.
But now, like, do you feel like your car is eating your skills? Like, as cars get more advanced?
why do I only have a backup camera? I need a front camera so I can see if I'm about to hit the car in front of me when I'm parallel parking.
The camera on your car is called your eyes, Alyssa. You should be using your eyes. And
our
looking.
eyes are valid for the back of the car too.
All right. By the time people hear this on Thursday, I think pretty much everything that can be said about President Biden's State of the Union on Tuesday night will probably have been said. So I kind of challenged myself, Alyssa, to come up with something new to say. So I did a little Control F for this. I'm going to give you a little insight into my hashtag process. When I was writing like takes and columns and stuff like really regularly, sometimes what I would do is have to watch a speech and then write about the speech. And after the speech was done, I would just be like, I forgot like 40% of what was said. So the old Control F trick to be like, how many times did this speech actually mention this? How many times? So I did a Control F and did the word women, thinking, and there was only one mention of the word women. And I was like, aha, this is what we can talk about. And then I did a Control F for the word men, and he doesn't say men at all. So it was a
progress.
But
progress.
Interestingly, I know Biden talked a lot about issues that impact women and men, but he said children or child like 21 times. So Control F.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, that was, and I appreciate that he put it all under the sort of umbrella of there's more to do, right? Like they've done a lot, but there's a lot more to do. And a lot of his agenda items under a lot more to do were about families, children, and women.
Yeah, and I think that the speech, while it didn't, I was like running around after my child who is now like a feral squirrel, like essentially listening to it, right? I wasn't able to watch it or participate in the group thread because I was chasing this human squirrel around. And I did notice that you can package issues that a lot of women would list as their top concerns without necessarily saying like, these are women's issues.
Right.
Because issues like the child tax credit.
Let's restore the full child tax credit, which gave tens of millions of parents some breathing room and cut child poverty in half to the lowest level in history.
Making that permanent. Those things benefit the country as a whole. And I think that like it's a very subtle shift, but no longer siloing those things off as like issues that pertain specifically to women and mothers and even just parents, I think is some real progress.
Oh, I agree. And it's funny because when you watch the State of the Union, to me, it's like watching competitive like slalom skiing because there are the markers throughout the thing and you're like kind of looking through your hands like, is he going to do it? Is he going to stick the landing? And honestly, I thought that I was a little skeptical going into last night, but I thought he really did a great job with the speech. Erin, honestly, not proud to admit it, tons of shit I didn't realize he had done. Tons.
Yeah.
But he did only talk about abortion for 30 seconds.
Congress must restore the right that was taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade. Give every woman a constitutional right.
Yeah. I think that was a choice, as you would say, Alyssa. That was a choice.
It's a choice.
I think that, I wish he would have talked about it more, but I also wasn't super upset that he didn't talk about it more.
Right. It was like something that we have been talking about nonstop for a year. So I thought maybe it might have gotten more than like a couple sentences of real estate in the speech.
Yeah,
but,
especially since I think it hauled the Democratic Party's carcass across the finish line in the 2022 elections. So you would think he would give it a little bit more real estate. But anyway, continue what you were going to say.
No, I was just going to say the thing that, so like you, I did not watch. I watched the first couple of minutes on television, but then I finished up listening on my phone. And the one thing that literally, I had taken my glasses off. I was getting ready for bed. I sat up and like grabbed the marker next to my bed and my piece of paper and wrote down Inspectors General. And I woke up and I was like, why did I write this down? I was like, oh, because I thought it was one of those things he said in the speech. And I was like, I feel like we should mention this. So Trump had gotten rid of all the Inspectors General. Actually, and I have to be honest, I didn't Google if it's Inspector Generals or Inspectors General.
It's Inspectors General, but it's
General.
It's a silly. It's
right?
like Whoppers Jr.
It's right. And so anyway, Trump got rid of all of them. And I guess everyone was like, well, what the fuck did it matter? Well, turns out that when Biden brought them all back, they found billions of dollars in waste and savings and fraud. And all those billions of dollars now come off the fucking federal deficit. So that was great. I was like, look at that.
That's
Hired
great.
a couple people, saved billions of dollars. I know.
Great.
It's like sometimes I think the American people don't, rightly, for good reason, don't understand anything that the government does or why it happens. And like that's like a very low-hanging fruit example of positive government function.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. I also thought he handled the hecklers really well. It was.
Yeah.
Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal.
I did not see that coming. I didn't think that he had it in them.
So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be sponsored. All right. I'm ready. We got unanimity.
Like, do you think, and maybe someday someone will write about this, do you think that they did like some sort of like stand-up comedy practice with him where they're like, here's how you take the heckler? Because like typically, I mean, not typically, he is not someone who in life has been heckled much, like Barack Obama heckled, Hillary heckled. And so I feel like it's a skill you hone over time. And he went from like 0 to 60 last night. It was very impressive.
I don't know. I feel maybe he just watched that tape of Bill Burr being heckled in Philadelphia and took notes, which I think is not for the faint of stomach, but it is a great example of a comedian handling a heckler.
Yeah, he's good point.
The Bill Burr of presidents. I think both Bill Burr and Joe Biden would not appreciate that comparison, but let's just go with it. I want to say one more thing before we move on to the next part of the conversation. So on Wednesday's episode of What a Day, Jon Favreau was they interviewed him to talk about the State of the Union. And they were like, oh, is this the beginning of the presidential campaign? And the way my stomach
turned.
Absolutely not, dude. We get 2023. I think we should pay attention to what's going on this year and not forget any of the circus fuckery that Republicans are going to get up to and not forget any of the serious adult business that Democrats try to get done. Absolutely. Make note. Don't forget it. But no. We just ended a campaign. This is not the start of a new campaign. No.
Too much.
You get January 1st, 2024. I will concede that is the start of it because it's the year that the election takes place. But it is not starting in 2023. I refuse. This is a red line that I am drawing. No. Okay. What else is going on? Oh, Alyssa, what's up with the ERA? We get a lot of questions from our listeners about this, and I would love an update.
Erin, there's a little action. The ERA got a little action earlier this week.
Nice.
Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and Senator Ben Cardin introduced a joint resolution to affirm the ratification of the Equal Rights Amendment, removing the arbitrary deadline for ratification and recognizing the amendment as part of the Constitution. Erin, a little history. Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution sets out 2 requirements for amendments, and the ERA has now met both. Mm-hmm. It's been approved by 2/3 of both members of Congress, the House in 1971, And Erin, in 1971, the bipartisan vote was like, okay, in the House, it was 354 to 24, and the Senate approved it 84-8. So that's that's one big check. Yes, that's one big check mark. And then ratification by 3/4 of the state. Virginia became the 38th state, which we talked about back in the day, to ratify the ERA in January of 2020. Now, still has a little ways to go.
Okay.
Still has a little ways to go.
Okay.
But filibuster still exists, which is a bit of a problem for passing it through the Senate. But we do have Senator Murkowski and Senator Susan Collins. I mean, she has proved an ally on this issue. And Senator Chuck Schumer has promised a vote before April on this.
Okay.
So, Erin, to overcome the filibuster, Democrats must either convince 9 Republicans to vote to end the filibuster or carve out an exception to the filibuster rule for the ERA joint resolution. 1, I would definitely be in favor of that. Mm-hmm. And 2, the reason, just to remind everybody that this is important, is because Roe v. Wade decided on privacy. If the Equal Rights Amendment were passed, you could say, I don't know, Erin, that we have equal protection and should decide what happens to our bodies ourselves.
Exactly. And that would be great. But, man, this is... When I say morass, this is such a morass, and
it is
because of a law that was passed, I think in the 70s, while they were working to get all the states to ratify it.
Yep.
Put kind of an arbitrary time limit on it, which is not something that's actually constitutional. And gosh, I would love for the area to be ratified, and I would love to see conservative legal scholars try to wiggle their way out of.
Yeah. Explain to us.
Yeah.
Explain.
Explain.
One
quick update, or not an update. This is kind of an ongoing news story, but Alyssa, corporations are not your friends. They're never your friends.
What?
They're not
Are they
your
people?
friends. They are not.
Are they not people either?
You might work for one. They might provide you with subpar insurance coverage that you have to pay $800 a month for anyway out of pocket. But they're not your friends. And they're not, I think we should pay close attention when companies use popular groundswell moments to jump on bandwagons. And then once the attention is no longer on them or on that particular news story, they go ahead and just support the other side. So, that's, corporations sponsoring Pride Parade floats,
right.
that actually go ahead and turn around and contribute to anti-LGBTQ lawmakers. This kind of shit happens all the time. Companies, after Dobbs came down last June, pledged that they would support abortion access and then have given money to politicians who have pledged to prosecute people who take abortion pills. So they're trying to get the good PR out of being like, we support women. We support choice. And then be like, oh, we actually support you because you're the one that's in power.
Which, you know what? And I'm going to be a little, I don't know, this isn't maybe popular, but I kind of understand why some of these companies who have businesses in certain states give to certain lawmakers.
However, it makes perfect sense.
The PAC, they don't, giving to a PAC that has one issue and that issue is anti-abortion, there's no explaining that away. None whatsoever.
Yeah. So let's air these companies out a little bit. I mean, I don't think that these are companies that everyone was like, what? No, they're so good.
No.
But in the aftermath of the Supreme Court decision, Amazon, Chevron, Boeing, and Walmart, I told you they were not companies that everyone's like, oh, good, my rights. Walmart will protect them.
But we're not narking on Patagonia here.
No, we're not. We're not revealing that Boeing has been up to no good. The people know. But they did pledge to pay for employees to travel to access abortion, and made a big splashy deal of that. Meanwhile, they spent thousands of dollars to reelect Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall, who is the one who said that he would prosecute people who took abortion pills, which is, God, nothing creepier than a pro-life old man. Gotta say.
If we've said it once, we've said it a million times.
We will say it until we're blue in the face, but it is creepy and it needs to be normalized. Just step back when you see a pro-life old man and think about how creepy it was. Like, it's just... Anyway, so, these companies have given like thousands of dollars to Marshall's campaign. In Alabama, Amazon gave $7,500 to Marshall's campaign. Walmart gave $2,500. Chevron gave $5,000, and Boeing gave Marshall $2,000. Amazon also gave the Republican Attorney General Association $50,000 in November 2022, which was the same month that aforementioned Chucklefuck was elected chair of the group. And it doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does make sense because what they're trying to do is retain power while also like winning some like brownie points.
Have their cake and eat it too.
Exactly. But that's just, I think it's important to keep on top of these developments because corporations are not your friends. And B, when they are this aggressively not your friends, they should be called out and held to account. This report was from Citizens for Ethics, and we will link to it in our show notes. We have this story
is disturbing.
Yeah. Okay, so there's a philosophy paper that has been platformed by Fox News and the Daily Mail that has gone viral. It poses the question of whether or not people who are brain dead, women, anybody capable of being pregnant, should be used as surrogates. So, like, if you can donate organs, why can't you do whole body gestational donation? The paper was published by a Norwegian philosopher last fall in the Journal of Theoretical Medicine and Bioethics, and it began making the rounds when it hit like tabloids. Alyssa, what do you make of this question?
Erin, this made me uncomfortable. Couple things. One, it got lift from like Fox and the Daily Mail because they were saying that basically like our bodies should just be used for it. The paper itself suggests that you could have a personal choice, like on the back of your driver's license, and be like, I choose to donate my organs and my body to be a gestational carrier. I can't. Okay, here's my fundamental. I have not birthed a child. I will never birth a child. I don't have children. However, I have a hard time understanding how you explain to your child where they came from if you were to go with this method. This seems very hard to understand and explain to a person of any age. Like, this seems like science gone too far. That's my opinion.
I think that, the paper itself, I don't think was as disturbing as the headline from the paper. And like, it's a philosopher published it in a journal of like theoretical medical bioethics. So, they're arguing extreme examples. I don't think this is like on the verge of becoming law. But I think putting something like this in people's heads, and the reason that this question has gone viral is because so many women right now feel as though their government views them as incubators and
vessels,
nothing more.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that the human inside of the body doesn't matter. As long as the body can be used to create babies, you're not really a person. And it's pretty gross. I also think that if this were to become something that was an option, I hate to say, this isn't going to be an unpopular thing to say. Okay. I'm currently an organ donor. If, if I were to die, you can harvest whatever, take it, man. Take my heart, it's a good heart, it's a long distance runner's heart.
No,
like
good.
It would keep like 6 Dick Cheneys alive, But if the option were to include whole body donation, that would make me less likely to want to donate any of my organs because I wouldn't want like mission creep. You know what I mean? I would like worry that.
No, absolutely. I had the same exact thought when I was reading it. I was like, well, if I check this box, like all of these people who are denying women abortions, would they also be like, she's in pretty good shape. Let's just say she's 99% brain dead so that we can use her body for, like, it feels like people would start I don't know, using their best judgment instead of science.
Yes. And also, isn't the idea that a person gave birth while in a coma used as like some of the motivation behind the reason that Uma Thurman kills Bill? Isn't that part of it? Like, it's part of the
Erin,
horror of
yes.
her backstory.
Yes.
Is like, she's in a coma and then she gave birth and there was this gross hospital employee who was like sexually abusing her comatose body. Like, the notion that a woman's comatose body could be used for reproductive or sexual purposes is like literally a device in Hollywood that like, you know, motivated some pretty bloody punching, if I'm gonna say. It's been a while since I've seen that movie. I should watch it again and see if it holds up, because I don't know if it would. We'll see. We have a toast.
Oh, such a good one.
Yeah.
Erin,
go ahead.
toast. No,
Okay.
you toast.
No, you toast. We could
You
split the toast.
Let's toast.
Okay, we're toasting.
We're toasting.
Okay.
Toasting. Okay, Erin, we saw a tweet that said, publishing company will offer free Black History ebooks, specifically in Florida. And it's Haymarket Books. They tweeted
Haymarket.
back,
Great.
it's us. We're the publishing company. And just cheers to you. In a world where insane things are being taken out of AP exams and kids aren't being taught certain things, the fact that there is a corporation, Haymarket Books, that's like, you know what? We're going to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. It's toast-worthy.
It's absolutely toast-worthy. Haymarket Books, and this is not a paid ad. We're just giving them a shout out.
No,
haymarketbooks.org, they publish a lot of really cool, progressive, interesting, thoughtful stuff. I would encourage anybody who's interested in adding to their reading list and adding to their brain, check out Haymarket Books and some of the titles that they publish. I also wanted to say that this whole topic, the Haymarket releasing free ebooks in places where they're trying to restrict the flow of information, gives me hope about how futile the effort will be for Republicans to shut down the flow of information to young people in the age of the internet. I just think of the average Fox News viewer, the average Republican elected official. You know, I don't think that they're very good at even avoiding like phishing scams. You know, these people can't beat children at the internet. Youth will always figure out a way to master technology that completely has bodied their parents and grandparents. So it just reminded me that, you know, as long as there are people out there who want to get the information to young people and young people who want to get the information that elected officials are trying to keep from them, I think they're going to figure out ways to get it. I think it's a losing game for the Ron DeSantis of the world.
It is a losing game for Ron DeSantis, but the one thing and that I would say is, like, you and I growing up, we had jobs after school. You know, like, you only have, as a young person, you only have so much time in the day. So when you're getting assigned reading that's actually not expanding your mind, and that's the reading you have to do to pass the exams that they're making you take, it's fucked up as can be. But at least Haymarket is giving people resources to self-educate.
Good toast.